Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the all-new 2023 Ford Bronco Raptor. Ford has officially announced the Bronco Raptor, and yes, it is using the Raptor name and not the Warthog name. So in the first part of this video, we're going to actually show you guys the teaser clip from Ford, and then we're going to get into what we know so far, a little bit of speculation, and then we will finish things off with what I think about this new Bronco Raptor. And with all that being said, let's get into the video. So first off, if you guys are wondering, that teaser clip was actually sent to people that have ordered Broncos, and it was kind of like, hey, I know you're still waiting for your Bronco, but here is the newer, cooler version that we are already working on, again, even though you still haven't gotten yours. And again, that was sent via email, and then also there was a tweet about it as well. And this is just confirming the Bronco Raptor. So you guys saw from the teaser, like the little teaser clip, that it has like the amber marker lights just like a Raptor, and then it has actually amber LED accent lights for the front lights as well, again just like the Raptor. So that stuff is all pretty cool. But if you look at the side there, it looks like it has pretty beefy tire, which definitely a huge plus, but just oversized fender flares. It doesn't look like it's wide bodied like a Raptor F-150, which kind of makes sense, right? The Bronco has really boxy styling. So if they did like a true wide body, like actually did wider fenders, that would just kind of look funny. So doing oversized fender flares, I think, is the right direction to go from a stylistic perspective. And I think it looks good from, you know, a teaser clip perspective. But to finish things off with the confirmed information, it's most likely going to be a 2023 model year. Ford's going to officially unveil it in 2022, so we still have a few more months at least before it gets officially unveiled. Well, I mean, this is kind of like an official unveil, but it's not the same as like us seeing like the full-blown vehicle rather than this little teaser clip. And, you know, obviously you saw like the stuff in the sand and everything like that. But yeah, that's what it sounds like. And then obviously with all the delays we've had with the current Bronco, I'd expect this Bronco Raptor to be delayed just as much, right? There will be a few people that'll get their hands on it, but a lot of you will just be waiting just as long as you have been with the regular Bronco. Now, pushing that all aside, let's kind of get into a little bit of speculation here with the Bronco Raptor. So obviously they've gone for the Raptor name and not the Warthog name like we thought that they would do, and there's been some like funny like things where people have like taken like a Bronco horse and then basically given it like Raptor claws and everything, which I think is absolutely hilarious because it's like two different animals combined together, right? Bronco Raptor. But I guess aside from that funny stuff, first off, the thing that everyone's been talking about is the powertrain. What are they going to do? So they're still going to use the 10-speed automatic. They use that across their lineup from a transmission perspective. So 10-speed automatic. Now, what engine are they going to use? I hate to say this, but there is a 99.9% chance it's going to be a twin-turbo V6. They use the 2.7 for the loaded-up Broncos right now, and so they're probably going to use the 3.0 for this Bronco Raptor, or maybe the 3.5. I don't think they're going to do that things that right. I think they're probably going to use the 3.0 because the 3.0 is basically just a bigger version of the 2.7, and you can get pretty good power out of that. And I think they just kind of want to reserve the 3.5 for the full-blown F-150 Raptor, basically. But that's what things are looking like, is we're probably going to get still the 10-speed automatic, like I said, and then the 3.0 or the 3.5 from a powertrain perspective, and expect power figures to be somewhere around 400 horsepower, and then torque to be somewhere around 500 pound-feet roughly, or high fours, because again, with that 2.7, you've got a little bit over 300 horsepower and a little bit over 400 pound-feet of torque. So obviously with this Raptor version, it's got to have more power and more torque than what you can already get, or it doesn't make sense to get the Bronco Raptor over just, you know, a wild track, for example, or, you know, a first edition or a Badlands that's fully loaded up with the Sasquatch package. But moving on from that, obviously we already talked about, you know, the wider fender flares. They're going to be oversized so you can fit bigger tires, and they're most likely going to add the 37 package just like what you have with the new Gen 3 Raptor. So 35s are going to be standard, so it's just going to be Sasquatch just like all the other Broncos. But it's most likely going to have the 37s as an additional option. You can really see like how much space there is there in that just the wheel area, and on top of that, just how big those fender flares are. It looks like they're kind of preparing to have some pretty big tires under there from the factory, so that's some exciting stuff as well. And it makes sense, right? That's kind of what the Raptor is going after, is, you know, having that 37 package available. Moving from that to the shocks and suspension, so they are going to make some slight tweaks with the suspension, but the biggest thing is going to be the tweaks to the shocks themselves, because they're not going to be using Bilstein shocks. They're actually going to be using the shocks from Fox, the live valve. And someone just like probably almost crashed out there. You guys probably heard that in the microphone, like the skirting sound. But anyways, live valve from Fox, just like what you have in the Raptor, tuned for this Raptor Bronco. And so that's going to be quite a bit different from what you have with the regular Bronco. Those Bilstein position sensitive shocks are great, but they're not an active system, right? Bilstein does make an active system for the Ram TRX, and that is a lot different compared to what those position sensitive shocks are, and it's a lot different from the live valve from Fox. So yeah, that is pretty much, I guess, more on the confirmed side, because we've seen spy shots and everything with the Bronco mules, and they basically all had the Fox shocks. They haven't had Bilsteins or anything like that. And then obviously it's going to have longer travel than the regular Bronco. I mean, it's a Raptor version, and that's kind of what they're all about. And then they're going to bring things up in the interior slightly. They're still going to have like the same kind of like seat design sort of, but like I've been hearing that they're going to do like a more like aggressive seat, kind of like what you have in the Raptor with the Recaros, something that is kind of more like race inspired, because again, it's supposed to be a Bronco Raptor, but you still probably won't be able to get like air conditioned seats or anything like that, because they're still going to want you to be able to take the doors off, take the top off, spray off the interior, all that kind of stuff, because again, ultimately it still is a Jeep Wrangler competitor. It's not, people don't expect the same creature comforts out of this as they do in like a half-ton truck, for example. But yeah, that's pretty much what we know up to this point. I'm really excited for it. It's really exciting to get like a true competitor to the new Wrangler Rubicon 392. And so yeah, let's kind of get into my overall thoughts, I guess. Now, getting into my thoughts on this Bronco Raptor. First off, I think it makes sense for them to use the Raptor name, right? That's what Ford's high-performance, high-speed off-road vehicles are known as. We're going to get the Ranger Raptor here in the US soon, so it just makes sense from a branding perspective to not rename it something like the Warthog. So I think that was definitely a move in the right direction. Now, aside from the naming itself, I'm actually really excited for this, because it's going to actually create a new segment of off-roading SUV, because there's nothing that you can buy right now that is like a true like Baja SUV. Now, yes, Jeep did release the Rubicon 392, but that still has the solid front and rear axles. It still drives like a Jeep Wrangler, has really loose steering, and you can have a lot of fun with that off-road, and it's got a decent amount of travel. Like, you can do a lot of stuff with it. It's not necessarily a comfortable experience though, especially because of the solid front axle they still use with the Wrangler. But obviously that thing just is a absolute monster from a crawling perspective. But again, we don't really have anything that's like a high-speed off-road SUV, and so this will kind of be the first like true like dedicated high-speed off-road SUV. And yeah, some people can make the argument that the first iterations of the Bronco can do that because of the Bilstein position sensitive shocks, because of the 35 package you get with the Sasquatches. But again, I've driven those off-road, I've driven them at higher speeds, and it's not the same as what you get out of a Raptor or a TRX. And so with the live valve from Fox put into the Bronco, it's really going to have not only the travel to be able to maintain these high speeds, go over big dips and all that kind of stuff, but it's also going to be comfortable while you're doing it because of how much how advanced those shocks are and how much they absorb. So I'm definitely all about it. I'm really excited for it to come out, and I think it's really going to kind of shake things up, and I think that it's going to push Jeep even more to kind of really answer the Bronco, and maybe we're going to see Jeep kind of slightly ditch the solid front axle. I mean, obviously they're known for that, but maybe they'll release a version of the Wrangler and the Gladiator that doesn't have a solid front axle, so that it can actually compete with the Bronco on some levels. And I am going to be making a more dedicated video soon talking about the Bronco, because I made those off-road series, but talking about the Bronco off-road versus the Wrangler, because there's actually quite a bit that I learned from taking the Bronco off-road that I realized that it's some pretty crazy stuff that Ford's done here. But yeah, overall, I'm really excited for this to come out, and I'm still on the fence on whether or not I'm going to order one. I mean, my first edition still hasn't even come in, and so it's like, it's hard for me to like go through and be like, oh, yep, let's go order a Bronco Raptor when I still haven't even got my regular Bronco, and so it's kind of up in the air at this point. But I don't want this video to be too long, so that's just going to sum things up for today's video. If you're stopping for the first time, I'd really appreciate if you'd subscribe, comment down below what you guys think, and I'll see you guys.